My name is Mark Ormerod. I'm Chief Executive of the Probation Association, which is the employer's representative body for probation trusts. I think, and I'm not sure I'm going to say a great deal that's different from previous contributors on this point, but certainly the focus that is brought to rehabilitation and the reassertion of the importance of rehabilitation and cutting reoffending, I think is very much to be welcomed. A lot of people have commented on the provision of services for short-term prisoners, and that's certainly something also which I think could be a considerable advantage from the programme. And the emphasis on innovation and bringing in other providers in relation to that, I think, is to be welcome. These are not things which are necessarily new to the system, but I think the reaffirmation through the Transforming Rehabilitation programme is certainly something to be welcomed. Well, we're on record as seeing the splitting of the probation service as something which is potentially going to cause problems once you split one organisation into two. There's a fragmentation there and potential for cases and people to fall through the system and all the problems of data exchange that comes with that. I think also there's potential disadvantage from the loss of networks that have been built up over many years at a local level through personal contacts as much as through organisational contact. And one thing that people are worried about from the splitting of the service and new providers coming in is that these will be disturbed. I think there's also a potential problem around the scale and pace with which the programme is being taken forward, and it's on May the 9th of this year that it was published, and significant aspects of it will be coming into force quite soon, and that's a big programme to take forward at that level of pace. So those seem to me to be the main potential disadvantages, coupled with, of course, as we're now seeing, the potential exit of skilled and professional people from the service, which is obviously a disadvantage. And it really does raise the question for me, and presumably at some stage there'll be some policy evaluation around this, of whether it's necessary to go to the extent to which the programme is going to meet the objectives of it, and risking those potential disadvantages. I think it's quite difficult to answer that question because a lot of this has not been piloted or evaluated in any particular way. I'm talking particularly about the organisational system and how that will work rather than the payment by results. And so I think my answer would be that if it works in accordance to the theory and the vision in relation to this, then there will be a lot of advantages for offenders through delivery of services and the reduction in reoffending. The converse of that, of course, is if the risks and disadvantages that I've talked about come about, there's the potential for a worsening of service for the offenders and for the public as well. Well, I'd like to think so, and I hope that they will be encouraged by the programme. You have to remember, I think, that as I understand it, the voluntary sector in this sort of area is relatively small. I think it's something like 70% of the organisations working in rehabilitation have fewer than 10 people, and 50% have a turnover of 150,000 a year or less. And so those are small organisations, and given the size of the contracts and the demands through the contracting process as much as anything else, it is going to be difficult, I think, for these organisations to be able to step up to that size. But obviously through consortia and joint bidding and the rest of it, there is potential there. I would hope that if it doesn't come about in the first wave as this thing, that there will still be opportunities for the voluntary sector to obviously play a part at the moment in relation to it, to develop and form part of rehabilitation going forward, because I think they have a considerable amount to offer. Well, 2020, of course, is about just over 6 years away, and if we track back 6 years ago, we find ourselves at the Offender Management Act 2007. So if you'd been asking me that question then, I think what I would have said is that I would see trusts, which were established at that time, playing a significant part locally in relation to reducing reoffending, with new financial independence, and becoming real powerhouses for rehabilitation locally. And as we know, they are to be dissolved as part of the programme going forward. So I think that is quite difficult to answer what 6 years ahead things are going to be like. I think it'll be easier to answer once we see what happens through the contracting process and how that operates, because of course the contracts are for a significant period of time, which will take us that period. So if that is successful, I mean, that would be a significant feature. I also think it'll be important to see how police and crime commissioners develop, because they're another significant player in this area. The only other observation I'd make, I think, is that probation over the past 10 or 15 years has been subject to quite a lot of change in terms of administration and the way it's run and operated, and the sort of overall structure and way it's been taken forward. And throughout that time, the people working there, it seems to me, have quietly and efficiently and with increased success get on with what they are doing. And I'd certainly hope that whatever it faces going forward, those working in rehabilitation will be able to take that ethos and increase success with them. And in that regard, I hope the Probation Institute, which the Probation Association, Probation Chiefs Association, NAPO and Unison are taking forward, and which we hope to get operational next year, will provide a cohesive element for the sector, as well as looking at professionalism and the professionalism of the service going forward.